This Lululemon sweatsuit takes softness seriously. Meet the scuba matching half zip and joggers, made in a fleecy fabric that feels smooth against your skin with a roomy fit that instantly takes the pressure off. Throw it on and you're all set to run errands after your workout. Shop scuba sets now at lululemon.com.
How much weight should I start with for progressive overload? It's wherever you are. Like, that's where you start, is wherever you are. There's no magic number you're starting with and no magic number you're going for. You are gradually increasing over time from your starting point, period. So maybe your starting point is nothing, or maybe your starting point's 3 pounds. Maybe you can do 8 pounds, but only 2 reps. So you want to build up. Your starting point is your starting point. You're not comparing to anyone else. Promise me that. Okay? Celebrate your victories. I'm Jessica Valant. I'm a physical therapist, women's health expert, and Pilates teacher, and my goal is to help all women feel strong, safe, and secure in their bodies. In this podcast, I'll share expert advice, facts, amazing guests, stories, compassion, and hope to help you meet your body in all seasons of life. Hi, and welcome back to Meet Your Body. We are talking about progressive overload today. I am so excited to talk about this because I realized the other day, I talk about progressive overload all the time. I mean, in the workouts that I produce and film for you guys, over in the content on social media, in my email newsletter, in my one-on-ones with my clients, I'm always talking about progressive overload. But what I realized is we don't have one place. Like, I haven't given you one place to come that explains exactly what progressive overload is, what it does for you, and how to incorporate it in your own life. So that is what this is going to be today. We are getting down to the nuts and bolts of progressive overload. We're going to make it accessible. We are going to make it simple. So I'm going to tell you what it is, like what progressive overload is, what it does for you, so the benefits of it, why it's important, and then how to incorporate it into your own life and your own workouts, no matter what level you are. Okay. So if you are a complete beginner to fitness, this is for you. If you have been working out and lifting weights for years, this is for you. If you're recovering from an injury, if you have an autoimmune disease that you need to take into consideration, this is for you. I promise you will come away with actionable steps so that you can incorporate this really important principle into your own life. So progressive overload is kind of having a moment right now. Like, I have been a physical therapist and a movement teacher for 26 years now, 25, 26 years. And we have used this term constantly. I mean, it has been a part of my life throughout my entire career. I use it in rehab. I use it for clients, as I mentioned. So it's always been there. What's interesting is it hasn't been a common term in the vernacular in clients and just regular people at the gym wanting to get stronger or in physical therapy. It's not like a term that's well known. It's well known in the fitness world for professionals, in physical therapy, not so much just in regular talk with people who want to get stronger and healthier. Until the past few years. So the past few years, I have gotten emails from people, gotten questions from clients saying, how do I do progressive overload? How do I incorporate this into my life? So I'm noticing that it is becoming part of the messaging around, especially what women need as we age. And that's fantastic because, yes, it is hugely important. Also, if you have been following me for years, if you are in Unlimited, if you've been doing my workouts, it is built in because it is so important. So you might even be doing it without realizing it. So it is having a moment, which is great because it is truly important. But with that, it's important to understand how to incorporate it into your own life because there's a lot of kind of confusing messages out there. There's a lot of things I hear from people that I need to address and adjust and change so that they can really get the benefits of progressive overload in their own lives and not get stressed about it. Because that's another piece. Sometimes it can feel so big that we get overwhelmed, and I don't want that either. So let's talk about what it is. So if you're listening to this thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. I still have never heard that word. Great, you're in the right place. I'm going to break it down for you. All right. So, what is progressive overload? It is the practice of gradually increasing the intensity, volume, or difficulty of workouts over time in order to challenge your muscles and challenge your body in different ways. So I'm going to repeat that, okay? It's the practice of gradually, that's one of the key words we're going to keep coming back to, gradually increasing the intensity, volume, or difficulty of your workouts over time to challenge your muscles and challenge your body in different ways. This can be done in many different ways, okay? So when we say gradually increasing intensity, volume, or difficulty, it could be the weights you're lifting. So it could be the actual like dumbbell weights, right? Like going from 5 pounds to 8 pounds. So it could be the weights you're lifting. It could also be the reps. It could be the number of sets. It could be the speed. It could be how many times a week you're going. It could actually be decreasing your rest time, increasing frequency. It could be increasing your range of motion. It could be changing the environment that you're doing it in, even changing the order of exercises in a workout. So it could be any of those things. So I want you to keep that in mind when we say progressive overload. It is increasing intensity, volume, or frequency or difficulty over time gradually. And it can be done in any of those ways. Yes, we typically talk about weights, and that is actually what I'm going to keep coming back to today because I feel like it's a little easier to think of it in those terms. But I also want you to keep in mind it could be done in any of those other ways. So if you are thinking, I am limited by how much I can lift overhead because of an old shoulder injury, I don't know if I will ever get over 5 pounds. So what am I going to do? You get to focus on any of the other things we talked about. That's what I mean, that this is really going to be accessible to everyone in a different way. Do not get caught up in the fact that you think it has to be lifting heavier and heavier and heavier weights. It might be, but there's a lot of other pieces we can adjust so that you still get the benefits of progressive overload. All right. So it can be any of those things. So the next question is, what does it do? Like, why do I need progressive overload? What are the benefits? By adding a challenge progressively, again, gradually over time, it is promoting strength gains, muscle growth, and adaptation, meaning your body will adapt to the new challenge, which is why then you need to, over time, add additional challenges as your body adapts. We have research after research, scientific study after scientific study proving the benefits of progressive overload. Like, it is not in question. Absolutely. We know across the medical field, across the fitness, exercise fields, we know that progressive overload is going to help you with muscle strength. So you will gain muscle mass and gain muscle strength. You will grow your muscles. That's part of that muscle mass. You will help your adaptation. You will help your resilience. So it's kind of how you bounce back to different forces that come your way. I think of resilience as just being able to walk through real life, right? Like, you have constant physical forces coming your way. We have emotional and physical stressors coming our way. We have different diagnoses coming our way, different things we are asked to do physically throughout the day. By incorporating progressive overload into your regular training, you are more resilient when all of those forces do come your way. It helps with that unpredictability of life. I think of that when I think of resilience as well, as just that idea that life is unpredictable and it's going to throw unpredictable forces your way. So you are more likely to be able to meet those forces when they come. It is absolutely essential for managing and helping to prevent osteoporosis. That is, again, without question. That is agreed upon throughout the medical world. We know that we need progressive overload. It is one of the absolute top ways that we can help manage and prevent osteoporosis. It helps keep our bones strong. It helps keep our bones healthy. It also helps, because I know this is important to many of you listening, it's going to help you see the results you want. For some of you, that actually means burning calories. It means seeing muscle growth. It is important to continue to be challenged and have progressive overload if that is a goal. You can't let your body plateau. Same with your mind. Your mind can also plateau when the challenge is always the same. It means it won't be a challenge anymore, right? That is what happens when we keep the challenge the same. Eventually, it won't be a challenge anymore because we adapt to it. So if we don't consistently and gradually increase that challenge as we adapt, like as it becomes easy, as we feel super safe, as it becomes predictable, if we don't then increase the challenge slightly to make ourselves meet that challenge, we are not going to see growth over time. Now, we are going to talk about the fact that it is still important to move your body. It doesn't always have to be a challenge, all right? It's important to understand that there is a place, absolutely, for movement that isn't a challenge, for movement that isn't always being a part of that progressive overload piece. It is important to have that kind of movement that's just nourishing, helping your nervous system. As a physical therapist, I actually give exercises to people and I say, I want you to do this till you're bored out of your mind. Like there's a purpose for it. You're going to repeat it over and over and over again, exactly how I write it, until you're bored. Then you're going to come back to me, and that's how I know it's time to move on. There is a time and a place for that. There also is a time and a place for progressive overload, and it needs to be included if you want to keep your muscles strong, keep your muscle mass, especially as we start to lose it. Remember, as women, we start to lose muscle mass in our 30s, and it continues to decrease exponentially as we get older. We need to be building that muscle mass and keeping the muscle mass we have. Progressive overload is how we do that. All right. So that tells you what it is and the benefits of it. Now we get to talk about the fun part. We get to get into all the nuance, all the tips I have, and the strategies to incorporate it into your life. Okay. So here we go. I want you to start with a baseline. Like this is vital. Like this is absolutely essential. You can't jump into progressive overload thinking, I'm going to increase everything I'm doing. I've been doing the same workout for 6 months. Let's say you're in my unlimited program and you use my unlimited app and you've been doing the daily workouts or even kind of the beginner fitness program for 6 months now. And you realize, you know what, I just haven't been challenging myself. I've kind of been going through the motions. So it's time that I increase that challenge. And you decide that you're going to increase everything. You're going to increase all the leg weights, all the arm weights. You're suddenly going to go from beginner Pilates to intermediate, maybe up to advanced. If you do all of that in a 2-week time period, you will burn yourself out. You could possibly injure yourself and you will set yourself back because you don't want to do anything then for a month because you're so sore. That's not how progressive overload is going to work efficiently. And then the opposite is true. Let's say you haven't been doing any workouts. Let's say you don't have a baseline, like you don't have a habit of movement. Completely fine. Okay. No problem. But if you were that person and same idea, you suddenly say, you know what, I'm going to jump into everything then. I'm just going to do it all because I need to get that muscle mass going. I'm really motivated. I'm going to suddenly do 7 days a week and I'm going to do all the dumbbells and do all the things. Same. You're asking your body and your mind to do a lot and to build 100 new habits instead of just 2. That can overwhelm you and burn you out as well. So I want you to meet your body where it is. There's a reason this podcast is called Meet Your Body, because you're meeting it where it is. And then you're going to be a partner with your body moving forward. So it is important to start with a baseline. And then once you know your baseline, you can decide what your progressive overload goal is going to be. Okay. So you decide, what is your baseline right now? Is your baseline that you are lifting weights 1 day a week, but it's pretty consistent and Pilates is really easy and you do 5 days a week of that? Is your baseline that you actually haven't been lifting weights at all? So you need to just build a habit of lifting weights 3 times a week? Is your baseline that you used to be really active and then life threw you a lot of stressors and so you haven't gotten back into anything for 3 months? Whatever it is, okay? whatever it is, you're going to decide and write it down if you need to. What is your baseline right now? And then what is the thing you want to focus on for progressive overload for the next 8 weeks? You're going to do this in an 8-week cycle. That is typically what's recommended for progressive overload. Now, this can absolutely be adjusted. I do not believe in hard and fast rules if life, again, throws you a curveball or your body's a little different or life just looks different to you right now. I'm recording this on March, in the middle of March, okay? So we're mid-March. This is a great time to give yourself to the end of the school year. I have school-age kids, so I work in school year semester kind of time frames because once summer hits, my workout schedule absolutely changes because I'm changing when I can work out during the day, when I'm with them, when I can get to the gym, everything changes. So I adjust it. I adjust as needed. So if you're listening to this in mid-March, it is a great time to set that 8-week cycle. It'll take you right to the end of the semester, right to summer for us here in the US. So an 8-week cycle is generally what I work in. And sometimes I work to a 12-week cycle for myself because that's a quarter, right? Like a quarter of the year. And that works really well. Whatever it is, you're going to give yourself 8 weeks, let's say. This is important because you can't just give yourself 1 week to jump into everything and increase everything. We tend to want to do that. And I know all the marketing messages tell us to do that. I am telling you for long-term results, which is what we're going for. We're going for the real deal here. This is a slow burn. It's low and slow. Okay. That's what we're doing. We are consistent. We are patient and we are making a plan. So you're going to decide what you want to have when it comes to progressive overload over the next 8 weeks. And again, this could be anything. It might be that you feel a little bit bored in your Pilates practice because you know that you have just kind of been writing it in. So you say, you know what? 2 days a week, I'm going to do intermediate. So you're changing the intensity, but you're not doing intensity and frequency and duration. Meaning you're not going from 2 30-minute beginner workouts a week to 4 45-minute advanced workouts. Does that make sense? The same would go for weightlifting. If you've been doing 2 full body days a week, let's say with 8 pounds, you're not suddenly jumping to 15 pounds for all movements for 3 days a week for longer. I want you to pick something very measurable and very specific for your goals. Okay. So if you have been doing arm weights with me in Unlimited, and with those arm workouts, you've been doing 5 pounds, by golly, you love your little 5-pound weights. You feel really comfortable with them, but truly you get done with a 25-minute workout and your arms aren't tired. You kind of did it without thinking about it because it's so a part of your routine and it's pretty easy. It is time to go up. So your goal might be, I'm going to use 8-pound weights and I'm going to do it for 2 moves of that workout. 2 moves. Okay. You do it for some. So pick what it is for you. Whatever it may be. If you're using a certain amount of weights, you're going to pick maybe 2 moves that your goal is to increase the weights. If you're not doing any weights, then your goal is to add 2 days a week of weights. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important to me that you have that idea. 1, that it's a gradual increase. 2, that you're doing it for yourself and your own baseline. And 3, that it's not all at once because you will burn out. All right. So you're deciding your baseline and then you're picking what your goal is to increase over this 8-week cycle. And then each week you would increase that by about 2 to 5%. This is the other thing that's really important to understand. Small, gradual increases over time. It is agreed upon with experts that you are increasing less than 10% per week when you are doing progressive overload. And I think it's usually even less than that. Like I'm not even increasing every week in general. If I am doing weights, I'm generally increasing like every couple weeks. If I am doing reps or sets, yeah, I might be able to do, 5 extra reps the next week, something like that. So you're going to increase gradually over time so that by the end of the 8-week cycle, you have increased, you can look back and you have a new baseline to work with so that then you add more goals or an additional goal to it. And again, I think it's important that it's either 1 or 2 moves at a time, or possibly if you do have an upper body routine that you have been doing forever, you're like, I have it memorized, I do it all the time, it's so easy. Like maybe you can increase your weights for that whole workout, but it really just depends on you. But no, it's gradual and it's over time. And if you're doing that 8-week cycle, many times what you'll do is do that gradual increase for the first 3 weeks. And then the 4th week, you're going to stay the same. It's kind of called a deload week. It just gives your body a little time to assimilate, to have a little bit of a rest. So you can either go down, or a lot of times I'll just stay the same. And then the next 3 weeks of the cycle, you're going up again. And then that last week, you kind of stay the same again, right? So it's 3 weeks of that gradually increase, then 1 week of, I'm just going to hang out and see how this feels and assimilate. 3 weeks up, 1 week, kind of hang out, deload, or just stay the same. And that's your 8-week cycle. Okay. And then you can keep going. And that's breaking it down into the nitty gritty. I don't want this to overwhelm you. Like for some people, you're thinking, oh, this is so great. Thank you. I need that like really specific, way to count or way to add. You like numbers. You like to write things down. Some of you are thinking, okay, you've already lost me. Like that just sounds like a lot. I don't want to write things down. I don't want to pick things. That's okay too. I have a lot more nuance coming for you with the takeaways I want you to have. But I think it's important because I will be honest, I am someone who, like I said, I've worked in this industry a long time. I know all about the reps and all about the sets and everything. I don't always like all the small little intricacies of the numbers and the sets and remembering what I did. I just like to move. I like to move and I like to feel my body moving and I like to feel myself challenged. But about 6 months ago, I decided to really, really commit to progressive overload. I'm getting older. I wanted to make sure I was challenging myself, but also there were some results I wanted to see. I wanted to see if I could aesthetically see some changes at the age of 48. I was kind of wondering why I felt like I was working hard, but not necessarily seeing some results that I might have expected to see. I just wanted to play with it. I wanted to say, do I need to push myself harder? Do I have room to push myself harder? I'm just not sure. So about 6 months ago, I really committed to this principle of increasing the weight, not just staying where I thought was challenging, but saying, can I do more? Like I haven't tried to do more because I thought this was heavy, but maybe I can do more. I cannot overemphasize the difference I have seen, the strength gains I've seen, some truly aesthetic changes that I have not seen maybe my entire life, that I'm saying, oh my gosh, look at that little teeny difference. I got a little teeny difference. That's what it is. It's a tiny difference. But it feels big to me. It feels important to me. And it has been really valuable to kind of follow the nuts and bolts of it, to follow those cycles of, okay, I'm increasing it by just a couple pounds, and then I'm going to leave it there for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to increase it another couple pounds. And also for context, I have autoimmune issues. I have hypermobility. I have endometriosis. I'm in the middle of perimenopause. I will definitely flare if I do too much at once. If I push myself too hard all at once, no doubt I will go into a flare. I've done it before. I'm really specific and intentional about recovery and about doing this low and slow. And all that to say, I have seen results with being consistent with it. So I am a believer, but I always have been a believer. But I also am a believer in making myself get into the details of it. Like I highly recommend that you write it down. Like write down how many reps, how many sets, and how much weight you can use for the big moves that you do. Your bicep curls, your shoulder press overhead. Again, if you are an unlimited member and you're following some of our, dumbbell workouts, do one, like pick your favorite one, either a full body or maybe one upper body and one lower body. Have your pencil and paper close and go through the workout and just pause it. After every move, pause and write down how many reps could I do, how many sets, and how much weight could I use? And did that feel easy or did it feel challenging? And do that for 2 separate workouts, okay? And then start your 8-week cycle and check it again after 8 weeks and go back to your notes. It is extremely valuable information, but also is really motivating. Like sometimes we think we haven't come very far, but then we look back and say, oh my gosh, I could only do three repetitions with 8 pounds. And now I could do 8. That's amazing. That's more than a 50% increase. That's amazing. All right. So again, I highly recommend writing it down. Nothing is too small. Please know that wherever you're starting is valuable. All right. So let me get into the nuance of it now that I got into my scientific hat and the nitty gritty of it. I want to get into the nuance of it too, because this is really, really important.
I never thought that I would be here talking to you about underwear and bras, but here we are. They are actually so important in our day-to-day lives. We wear them just about every day, and it seems like we typically put up with really uncomfortable undergarments, and I think life is too short to do that. So when Skims reached out to me months ago asking me to try their products, to be honest, I didn't have very high expectations because I've never been able to find something that I really truly love. Skims has blown me out of the water. I find myself reaching for their Everybody thong just about every day. I am doing laundry extra times a week so that I can actually have them available for my workouts. They're so soft. It feels like I'm not wearing anything whatsoever, and I can sweat in them, and it's completely comfortable. And their bras have been so surprising to me. As someone who's had a double mastectomy, bras can be really uncomfortable for me, and they are so soft. They're supportive. They are gentle. And they have specific products for mastectomy, which is really awesome. So I highly recommend you check out Skims. You can shop Skims Fits Everybody collection at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
So a couple things I want you to keep in mind as you're going through with this. One is we are all different. I get messages all the time asking me, well, how much weight should I start with for progressive overload? It's wherever you are. Like that's where you start, is wherever you are. There's no magic number you're starting with and no magic number you're going for. You are gradually increasing over time from your starting point, period. So maybe your starting point is nothing. Or maybe your starting point's 3 pounds. Maybe your starting point is, again, you can do 8 pounds, but only 2 reps. So you want to build up. Your starting point is your starting point. You're not comparing to anyone else. Promise me that. Okay. So write it down and celebrate your victories, please. I work with the most amazing women, some of which are clients, some of which are unlimited members, some of which are friends, some of which are family members. All right. I get to work with amazing women. And one of the most important things to me is to make sure they know that wherever they're starting is a valuable place. And however many reps they can do is important. I was working with a woman recently. Her goal is to be able to get in and out of a chair independently and to feel stronger doing that and stronger doing stairs. Okay, awesome goals. So we checked her baseline. Her baseline doing an unassisted, getting on and off a bench basically that we were working with, she could do 2 reps. And I could see in her mind starting to think that's not enough. This isn't even worth it. I can't even do 2. Like she thought it wasn't even worth doing. Of course it's worth doing. I'm like, yes, then you do 2. If that's what you can do, you will do those 2. And you keep doing those 2 daily until you can do 3. And then you keep doing those 3 until you can do 4. That is how we build. We don't go from 0 to 12 reps without practice. There's so much value in 1 rep, in 2 reps, in 1 pound, in 2 pounds of weights. So much value. And I saw this same amazing person the other day who said, I've been doing it every day and I can do 10 now. I can do 10 without any help. Like that to me, I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. That is so valuable and to be celebrated. So please know wherever you start is important and whatever you can do day after day is so valuable. All right. That's really important to know. So don't compare yourself to others. The next is don't add too much at once. I covered this a little bit already, but remember a little percentage each week. Okay. And don't think you have to follow that formula if your body hasn't quite adapted to it yet. I I'll give you an example from my own life in the middle of this lifting that I'm doing. So a hip thrust machine at the gym, which is pretty hard for me, but I'm committed to doing it. I've been doing 90 pounds on it for months, 5 or 6 months. I've been doing 90 pounds. And my goal with it has been able to do like 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps that I can do comfortably. I'm not saying easily, okay? That I can do comfortably and without back pain, because I have to be really conscious and intentional on this machine that I feel strong doing it, that I'm not compensating, and that it doesn't hurt my back because I have this back injury I'm working through. I'm not pushing through pain. That's what I'm telling you. That is what I'm verbalizing, is that I have to be really intentional and purposeful with it. So that has been my progress. It hasn't been adding weight, actually, like I said, for about 5 or 6 months. The other day, I added 10 pounds. And I could do 3 sets of 6 reps and my back was fine. That is a huge victory for me. So I was not committed to this absolute need to increase weight every week. I know that 8-week cycle, and then I work on a spectrum for my own body and what that means. For me, it means I could finally add some weight, and I'm working with the back pain piece and feeling really comfortable doing it, feeling strong doing it. And then the other day, inadvertently, this was actually on accident, I added 10 more pounds to it, and my reps went down, but I was still able to do it. And that was about a month after that first ad. So don't get yourself caught in this need to increase every week. It might be 2 weeks. It really might be a month. As long as you are still feeling challenged, that is okay. Okay? As long as you're still feeling challenged, because that's the key here. But like I said, it might not be weights that you're adding. Maybe it's adding some endurance piece. Maybe it's adding some reps. Maybe it's range of motion. That's a big thing that I add. Same, I'm working on single leg press at the gym with a machine. I am very light on this weight. It's just about the lightest I can go, actually, without having no weights on the machine. That's how hard it is for me. So I'm not going to be adding weight for quite a while. But I went from 3 reps to 5 reps. That was huge. I think that's huge. And then I'm working on range of motion. Can I go deeper? Can I do a deeper range of motion? Because that's really important for my body and my mobility needs. So again, you have different ways that you can increase. Don't get caught in the idea that it has to be increased weight every week. It might be more reps. It might be more range of motion. Just know that you want to stay challenged, but without burning yourself out, without hurting yourself. And then within that, you are not doing it every workout, okay? So it's important in the days that you're not working progressive overload that you have those movement sessions that feel very nourishing. You have your mobility work, you have your Pilates work, you have your walks, whatever it is for you. You keep doing your regular workouts, but you're not doing progressive overload in every single workout every single week. You need to have that baseline that you go back to let your body rest, but also it lets your body, like I said, really kind of assimilate the work you're doing. And it lets your body remember that it's safe, because it's going to feel a little unsafe, maybe, like mentally, to do some of this challenge work. So you want to make sure that you're coming back to a place that you're like, oh, okay, this movement is familiar. Phew, okay, I'm going to go back to that. Then you'll have that extra energy to challenge yourself in the other ways. All right. So don't do too much at once. We've talked about this. That's part of the nuance. You're not doing every single workout. You're not doing every single rep. You're not doing every single move. You're picking a couple for that 8-week cycle, and then you'll progress over time. You're not comparing yourself to others, right? It's your journey. What is going to increase for you? That's what you're doing. Remembering any movement is good movement, okay? All movement is good movement. So have that nourishing movement you come back to. Have those nervous system support movements that you come back to. Have those favorite Pilates workouts you come back to. And if you're working progressive overload with weights, that's where you challenge yourself. And then maybe the next 8-week cycle, you say, you know what, I'm going to keep with these weights. That feels good. And now I'm going to add one harder Pilates class, or I'm going to add a 10-minute harder ab workout per week, whatever it is, okay? A little bit at a time. And sometimes knowing also, especially in rehab, coming back to a physical therapy perspective, but also as someone who's had multiple surgeries, who's had those flares, there will be times you have to listen to your body and you go back to your baseline and you say, you know what? that was too much. Or I was feeling awesome. I was doing so good, stronger than I've ever been. And then I got sick, and then this other thing happened, or I had to take care of a family member. So my workouts went out the window. Don't get upset with yourself and don't say you're going back to the beginning. You're never going back to the beginning. You might feel like 5 steps forward, 3 steps back. That happens. But you just go back to that baseline and you build up again. And the beauty is, if you've been doing this work now for 6 months, a year, 18 months, like every single deposit you put in that health bank account is going to benefit you if you do have to take a break. You will get back faster. But just know that sometimes we do have to come back to baseline. Sometimes we have to create a new baseline. Sometimes you have to go through rehab. Those things happen. Just know every work you do is important, taking you forward. And it is okay if you need to go back to baseline for a little while. You'll be able to build back up. Write it down. Keep your records. Promise it will make a difference, and it's motivating. And once you get into the habit of doing it, a lot of times you'll be able to kind of remember in your mind. You won't even have to write it down anymore. But just know it is important and it will be helpful to do that. Also know, we talked about this just a little bit with myself, but if you do have autoimmune issues, if you have any kind of general condition that does tend to flare up easily, just take this a little more slower. Okay, a little more slowly, sorry. Take this a little more slowly. You can still do it. Your progressive overload just might look a little bit more when you're doing endurance. Like maybe I'm going to increase the time, or maybe I'm going to go from 3 pounds to 4 pounds. Like maybe your jump is a little bit smaller, or maybe it takes 2 weeks to jump instead of 1 week to jump. I just told you that it took me 5 to 6 months to increase my hip thrust 10 pounds. And I was so excited about it. I did the work 3 days a week, lifting my legs. For 6 months, I committed. I just put my head down and I did it. And it got me up to the next step. So it might take time, and that is okay. But honor your body if you are someone that needs to work on that energy conservation, or if you easily flare up. It's just much more important to go a little bit slower and to only add one thing at once. All right. And then make sure too that you are incorporating those nourishing days or a full rest day. I find for myself, I do best if I have those active recovery days. I don't do well if I lift really heavy 3 days a week and do nothing the other days. Like my body, I need more of a buffer time. I need that like mobility work and those nourished days and my Pilates days. So you can play with it for yourself, but just make sure that you are honoring your body if it needs some of that, and that you're not going too far too fast. So those are kind of the nuanced things around progressive overload. Remember, it is vital to include progressive overload in some way, shape, or form. Adding weights, changing reps, changing speed, changing range of motion. I do feel like if you're going to focus on one of those things, have it be increasing the weights. It will have the biggest effect on your bone health and on muscle mass and muscle growth. It's really motivating because it's kind of an easy thing to say, oh my gosh, look, I increased from 5 to 8 pounds on my bicep curls. So it's a really motivating way to do it. It's a really easy way to keep track of it. And so I like to start there, but just know, if that is not accessible to you for any reason, then have another goal and you can find progressive overload in other ways with reps, sets, speed, frequency, range of motion, all of those things. One thing I do want to say about reps, when we say adding reps, there can become a point where you're just doing too many reps and it is time to increase the weight. I tell people that. Like if you can do 50 reps of something and you're barely feeling it, let's change it up. Like it is time to change it up a little bit. So there will get to a point that just adding more reps isn't actually going to be a great progressive overload for you. You will need to change up something else about it. But you'll know. Like if you are honest with yourself and your body, you can sit there and say, yeah, that's all pretty easy. I don't think I've really challenged myself in any way in a while. That's okay. You honor that and say, you know what? I have done though. I've obviously built a habit of movement. Awesome. Now I can start to challenge myself a little bit more. Or like I said at the beginning, maybe you haven't gotten that habit of movement. So progressive overload for you means just adding 2 days a week of lifting weights. And I will have a link below to a couple things. I have a podcast about how to start lifting weights if that's where you are. If this is even beyond, you're like, I can't even do progressive overload yet because I'm not even lifting weights. Great. Go listen to that. And then I'll have a workout too, a beginner dumbbell workout below as well. And so we'll do that. And then also I'm going to have a link to a podcast that I did or a video about whether you should feel muscle soreness. I think that's really important because sometimes we get caught up in that. Like either I have to be sore all the time for this to be working, or, oh my gosh, I'm really, really afraid of being sore. Like we can easily fall on one end of that or the other. And I think that can be valuable information. So I'll have that below too. No matter what, you got this. Progressive overload is important. Look at it as a fun challenge and also know you can do this. I promise it is so motivating and it is so empowering to feel your own improvement and your own strength as you move forward. So I hope all that was helpful. Great job being here and go lift your weights. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for listening today. I would love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. It means a lot to us and it helps our content get out to more women who need it. You can find more of my resources at my website, jessicavalant.com, or find me on YouTube at Jessica Valant and Instagram at Jessica S. Valant.